All right. Welcome back to the podcast. Yet another special guest. This man right here, I've worked with them. I think it was 2017, 18, 2018, 19. We worked together for a period of time. He helped me grow Strong Jon Fitness to become part of what it is today. He doesn't pull punches, which I strongly appreciate in a mentor and a leader. This is Joe Arko. Joe, thanks so much for taking the time in and being on the podcast.
John, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since we chatted. It's been almost about a year or so since we had just a kind of a connection call via Zoom and kind of filled each other in. So I'm excited today. I'm excited to connect again, to share some wisdom and some nonsense and see where this goes today.
I love it. Yeah, I think we connected deeper into COVID, like when we first got locked down in 2020. I think we hopped on Zoom and just chatted for a bit. But this is your time to kind of let the audience know who you are. Who is Joe Arko? And kind of take us through a bit of a journey. You can take as long or as short as you want to.
I'll make this as painless as possible for people. So I'll try to make this as quick because it's been an interesting journey, man. It's 23 years in the health and fitness business I've been in. So I started my own business and, really got started in the industry, so to speak, when I was, 19 years old. Started in the big box, basically started putting away weights first for a little bit of time, being that, the gym rat for a year or two, got a job at the big box gym, started managing trainers at a young age by 25, 26 years old, branched off into the studio, renting my own space from about 5, 6, 7 years. And then 2013 opened up an 8,000 square foot performance center called Elite Performance Center. Ran that for 5 years, had my own certification course for years, traveled all over the world speaking. Fast forward 2017, I was International Trainer of the Year, went to Germany for that, and then got into the coaching side. So left the gym industry, the teaching industry, and got more into the business coaching side of things. That's how we met. So just helping trainers learn to make money, learn to create systems if I can say this politely, and no one shit on me, but taking meatheads and teaching them how to run a business, because I was that guy. And I learned from some great people. I had some amazing coaches that helped me along the way and got into the coaching industry. COVID interrupted a lot of things. We had an awesome headquarters. We lost that. Our industry has gone to shit in the last 2 years. So we've really shifted who we're helping. And now we're still coaching. We're coaching a lot of great people in different sectors, doing a lot of mindset business coaching. And recently in the last year or two, me personally getting a lot more into the, mindset side of things with the business coaching and working on the people, not just the problems, because usually the people are the problems. That's me in a nutshell.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, one of the questions I was waiting to ask you on the podcast, and you kind of alluded to it too, is how have you noticed the industry change over the last 20 years from when you started out till now? I know it's a big question, but I love your perspective on things.
You want a 20-year reel of what I've seen in this industry? I'll do my best. Trust me, I'll do my best. I mean, sure. This going back now to late 90s, to give you perspective, I got into fitness because I was the kid picked on in high school. I was skinny, dude. I was a skinny kid, 6'3", 165 pounds. I was a goalie in hockey. Being big did not benefit me being a goalie, right? You're just that stringy, mobile goalie. Yeah. I got drafted when I was 17 years old to the OHL. And basically the team said, you will not even be considered unless you put on 30 pounds. And I was like, huh? But my why was big enough. Here I am, just got drafted. I'm gonna be so embarrassed if I don't even get called to training camp because I'm too skinny. Plus coupled with a decade of being picked on for being skinny, this was a good enough reason for me to hit the gym. The first manual I got from the OHL was a whole bunch of pictures of Arnold doing Arnold's bodybuilding exercises. Nice. So I'm like, oh, well, who are the big people? Bodybuilders. Who's the biggest? Arnold. And literally at 17 years old, here I am engulfing fitness at a level that no 17-year-old really should and probably doesn't to this day. Learning as much as I can, learning. So Flex magazine, Dorian was reign supreme at the time, eating my face off. But then I started to go to chapters and get books, actually learning. Dr. Ellington Darden, I'll never forget this guy. Ellington Darden was the very first non-meathead book I got at 17 years old, learning about eccentric training, slowing down tempo, stuffing your face off, and eating all this stuff. So I did everything I could to gain weight, and in one summer or 4 or 5 months, gained 30 pounds.
Wow.
And then my quest, and then everything started to change. Attention started to change. Girls started to notice me. ego started to grow. There's a lot of good and bad that came out of that journey. But yeah, the main reason for me even just starting this journey was just to make a hockey team. And so the information back then was bodybuilding. That's it. Men's health, men's fitness, no internet. There's no internet back then.
Yeah.
Fitness classes weren't really a thing back then. Personal training was kind of getting started. There was no sport specific stuff. There was no flipping tires yet, no sandbags yet, no kettlebells yet. Oh yeah, prehistoric days. I know. It's literally everything was really bodybuilding based because there was no one else freaking working out.
Fair.
Put this in perspective. I got started before Peter Twist even was introduced to the game.
Wow. Yeah. Strength and conditioning specialist.
There's people now who don't even know who he is.
Yeah, which is weird.
I got started in the industry when hockey didn't have a strength coach.
Wow, really? Yes, I wouldn't have known that.
So Peter Twist was the very first strength coach really in hockey who brought in all these sport specific ideas, created a certification, and really changed the industry. So then I got into the sport specific side of things. And of course, the Paul Chek, Paul Quinn, Peter Twist, Ian King, Westside Fitness, that all started to come in and flood, the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Chek was huge, Paul Quinn was huge, Peter Twist, to me, those are the biggest guys.
Yeah.
And learned from all of those guys, interned with those guys. Then we brought in the sport specific age and functional movement age, and then we got into toys and Zumba and Tai Bo and everything. I've just seen cycles of it.
Yeah.
And I know John Goodman, who I have a lot of respect for, says this all the time. As a 43-year-old man, I don't think I can learn that much more in the time that I've spent in this industry from the smartest of people, from the Ken Kanakins, Eric Serranos, everything. I'm still doing the basic shit.
It's funny.
I have to admit, I'm sure people, it's just the most basic shit you need to do repetitively and have a great attitude towards it, something that you're going to stick with. That's it. Just learn to move without pain instead of move for ego.
Yeah.
Just really learn that your body needs more balance than it does a bigger bench.
Yeah.
And then have fun with the way you move, and just be smart with the way you eat. It's common sense stuff.
Yeah.
Learn to breathe properly. It's so simple. So the common trend I've always seen is that everyone wants to be heard. So people make shit up so they can be different.
Yep.
Otherwise, even John talks about simple foundational stuff is not going to sell.
It's not sexy.
Right. So a lot of people, and if you want to run a business, well, you need to sell. And so in order to sell, you need to stand out. In order to stand out, you start making shit up and looking like a clown to try to get attention. And then chances are, once you finally get the clients, hopefully you're just doing basic shit anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the complication of stuff I'm seeing more now than ever before.
Yeah.
Everyone has an opinion, and I went through an era where curiosity was king, and it was okay to I was a huge Paul Quinn guy, but I also loved twists, and I loved learning from Ken Kanak, and I loved learning from Paul Chek, and then sitting there going, okay, cool, what can I absorb from these people to make it my own and to implement, so that really we're acquiring information to take our client from point A to point B as fun and as easily as possible.
Yeah.
My job is to try to be the expert in that field, or at least try to master that field to make your journey easier. That's it.
Yeah.
And just the complication of that is just mind blowing to me now when I'm just seeing it. But I'm also seeing why, because everyone has a chance to speak now. You got a flyer, dude. I feel so archaic having this conversation with you. I kind of hate you and love you at the same time. I feel like the oldest man on your podcast, but I would get a flyer at the gym to find out that there's a conference or a workshop or a seminar somewhere. Now people are learning this shit in 45 seconds on Instagram and thinking that they're an expert. Right? You have to get on a bus somewhere and spend $400 that you didn't have because you're making shit money at a trainer at a gym, and acquire this information and get this wisdom from these people, and spend days and days with these guys, and go for lunch and go to all these places to really acquire wisdom to help clients. Personally, I just feel like people are trying to do this as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's reflected too. I think in client expectations, right? If coaches are trying to do things as quick as possible, clients are also expecting to do things as quick as possible. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yes, it's the timeline over the last 23 years has been interesting. There was a time when Tai Bo was the biggest thing. And there was a time where like the fitness classes were huge, and there still are. I mean, group fitness generalized, but it's changed now. Like CrossFit didn't exist when I came along. Like none of these things were even like a thing. Kettlebells weren't even a thing back then, let alone clubs, maces, and animal flow. Like how that's evolved.
Oh yeah.
The primitive, like to me, the primitive movements and the functionality, like functional training, primitive moves, I think was the best thing that happened.
Why do you think that is?
Because no one should be just training like our own Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
And that was the only thing we had.
Yeah.
Like no one should really be using his shoulder routine.
No. I mean, based on the research, I think he should even be using that shoulder routine.
Exactly. So it's been cool to see movement become way more. Like, I mean, you got like people like Move You and a plethora of other modalities. It was great to see function back and movement back and flow and that kind of stuff, like primitive movements that you can do anywhere. Not today's shoulder day, so ladder raise, front raise, upright rows, and shoulder press.
Yeah.
It's going to change the rep range. So that's been a great, I think, addition. But with that has come another problem with every trainer being a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go through that a whole rabbit hole. So I mean, the journey I think has been great, and every journey is going to have their shadows, right? Their extremes and their shadows and stuff like that. But I've loved seeing the evolution of this. I've loved seeing how many people can access this information at an easier rate. Like, if you want to geek out and be a specialist in anything, you can do it in 30 days for free from YouTube.
It's fair.
That normally you'd have to spend years trying to find these places, get on a bus or a plane and travel and do that stuff. So for the curious people that have a passion for this, it's never been a better time to learn the information, learn how to apply it, access it.
It's interesting too, like, because in the beginning, as you said, there's only one way to kind of learn things. There's one way to do it. There's no internet. You can search it. You didn't really have, if you had an opinion of your own, you told like the 5 closest people you had next to you. Exactly. Now it's like you can learn anything in 5 minutes and then preach it as if you studied it for years. Like there's this kind of disconnect sometimes. And it's all nuanced depending on the coach, depending on the audience. But I find also, because there's such a plethora of information, there's also complete overwhelming confusion on the client side of things. Like the amount of people in their 40s right now who are still trying to find that body composition or feeling that they're after, have tried probably everything almost that you mentioned already: Zumba, group classes, kettlebell, bodybuilding, and they've yet to still find that thing that sticks. Whereas you also alluded to the basics. At the end of the day, it's, if you like kettlebells, if you like bodybuilding, if you like Zumba, if you like Taibo, like whatever it is, it needs to be consistent and just simplify it, because complicated doesn't ever really mean better. I think that's where the disconnect is.
I think as trainers now, I will say this: the problems that we're solving are starting to grow. Because you mentioned someone who wants their ideal physique. Well, just throwing around a kettlebell might not, that's only part of the equation of the overall, like, stress management, sleep management, nutrition management. Like, we used to, as trainers, solve everything with a good training session.
Yeah.
But like the clientele has also changed a lot in the last 20 years, and their needs have changed a lot. Their time management needs are so much different now than they were 20 years ago. Their overwhelm is much different. Their stress is much different. And I think as trainers, we have to understand that, does our plan and our procedure solve the problems they have? Because the problem they have is not, I'm deficient on kettlebell movements, that's why my physique doesn't look like this.
Yeah, fair.
Right. So if the trainer is really trying to take that map and layer on top and give them the promise of changing their physique just by throwing around a kettlebell, that's the problem.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think now too, like, trainers have to become more diverse in the problems they solve.
I was just going to ask you about that too. Yeah.
100%. So since COVID hit, like, I think I've narrowed it down to 7 problems you have to solve.
Would love to hear them.
Weight, energy, digestion, movement, mood, stress, and sleep.
Beautiful.
And you and I both know that you get paid for the problem you solve. If the only problem you're solving is movement, there's 6 other problems they're going for, but they want all those things.
Yeah.
A client wants weight management, but weight management without energy management is irrelevant. So they want to have the energy throughout their day. They don't want to be bloated all the time. They want proper digestion. They want to be able to poop and not have bloatness. They want to move pain-free, and they want to have fun. They want to be in a good mood. And when you look at stress and sleep, if they're not sleeping properly and they're stressed all day, well, they're not going to have a happy client. You do those 7 things for clients, I'm telling you, that client will never, ever leave you. But what you need to do now is, how do I become good at being a specialist in these. How can I help my client reduce their stress? How can I help them improve their sleep? And if they do that, they're going to lose more weight.
Everything
Right?
improves overall.
Everything improves. So what we teach now and the program that we put together, and this podcast has nothing to do with that. But if any trainer out there can just say, like, look, when you do your consult with your client, get to know which of these 7 things they're struggling with the most. And say, hey, this is how my program identifies these things and how we're going to audit these and improve these things. And maybe the next 2 weeks is sleep. And then maybe the next 2 weeks will be energy. And maybe we'll tackle digestion. But now you have a client for a longer period of time cycling through problems. This to me is more sellable. Like, here's your workout program, follow the meal plan. And 6 weeks later, it's like, oh, they can't follow my meal plan. I spent so much time designing it. Oh my God, I changed the rep ranges by 2 and they're bored of my program. Like, well, you're not really solving a lot of problems though. You're just solving a program
like
design.
Shit. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, let's not get into that. But to me, like, if you want to continue, especially now that things are not in person all the time.
Yeah.
Solving more problems with a client and seeing them less increases the value and how long that client's gonna stay with you. I know 100%. So many clients who are solving more problems now and the clients are getting better results and they're not even seeing them anymore. I'm like, yeah, because you finally changed your business model to suit the resultant outcome for your client, not the outcome you're looking to suit your business model, which is my one-on-one service or this or this. Now you're actually like I need to provide some outcomes for these clients.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, for a lot of trainers too, I think COVID was a big shift in terms of realizing the only problem they were solving was a good time.
That's a tough one too. And if you're a personal trainer,
that's gonna hurt but you know what? I'll throw myself under the bus instead of someone else and picking on them.
Sure. When
I was running my gym, my boot camp classes, the outcome people were looking for was fun. That's the problem I solved. Mm-hmm. It was predominantly women from 27 to, let's say, 40. And every Tuesday and Thursday was their time away from the house, their time away from the kids, from responsibilities. And it gave them an excuse to feel good and have a glass of wine afterwards and not feel as guilty. And when I tried to change that and added in measurements and weight loss challenges, they're like, Joe, if you do this again, we're not going to come. I'm like, oh, shit.
That's a little bit there for.
And that's fine. And so a lot of classes are just for that. But if you can't create that same, but how do you create that same emotion through an online virtual thing? You can't.
Sure. Yep.
So unfortunately, that outcome they were looking for no longer met. So that business really suffers. A lot of the people that did a lot of classes, boot camps, and people just love the environment, the social aspect of it. It's hard to do online. Mm-hmm. But if you can get to the root of what that person was in that class for and how we can recreate that somehow or solve more problems or still help them with that journey, you still keep the clients.
It's a game changer. And I think that's where like expectations and needs and sometimes the messaging is not matched, because a lot of the times prospects, clients, people in general I love bootcamp classes. I want to lose weight, so I'm going to go do more classes. And I'm like, well, has that helped you lose weight? You just enjoy doing them? Because it's 2 different things. I think that's the biggest thing is you can go to classes and enjoy them. That doesn't mean A, it's the best thing for your body composition goals overall. And B, doesn't mean that that's what you need because you're missing a nutrition component, a sleep component, stress component. Like there's all these other things. But it's also hard to sell that too. Sometimes if people are like, no, but I need boot camp. If you feel like you need boot camp, then you feel like you need boot camp, right? That's
But I think that's where as a coach, you can ask better questions. So let's say you were hey, I need boot camp. Like, hey, what are you looking to get out of boot camp?
Yeah.
Because then I can get a picture of what they think boot camp will give them. Oh, I'm looking to lose weight. Oh, do you think so? What's your idea of what the pieces are to lose weight? Right. So if you keep digging and digging and digging, you can either get them to see, hey, we need more, or this isn't the best way. But if you agree with them and just say, come 3 times instead of twice, well, you're validating their belief that they need more boot camp classes to lose weight.
Yeah, no.
Just because it serves your model of getting them into the class more.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the responsibility of the trainer, not the client.
No, 100%. I think it all starts with us. Yeah. And I think over the last 2 years, I think there's been an influx of, I'll put coaches under quotation marks, because it seems everyone who's lost a little bit of weight has become an online coach since COVID happened. But it's our responsibility, and it's tough. And I've talked to a few coaches where we don't feel like there's some sort of gatekeeping happening, but at the same time, that gatekeeping is not helping the general population. Like if there's people we don't agree with online, but they have a massive audience and they're still helping people get active, I'm not in the business of tearing those people down, even if I don't agree with how they're doing things. If it's a stupid Stairmaster workouts or booty band shit or supplementation, like I don't agree. But at the end of the day, like if they're helping people's barrier entry to fitness, then is it a win for the fitness industry or and the clients, right? You know what I mean?
2 decades I've been seeing this shit, John.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what...
like for 2 decades I've been saying. And so if we think there's an influx now, every person who played a sport became a trainer. Everyone who just couldn't figure out anything else became a trainer, got certified over 2 days and became a trainer at a big box gym. Right? This trend is nothing new. It's just more visual because we can see it easier because of social media.
There you go. That makes sense. Yeah.
Like I've been complaining about this shit for 23 years. You know what I mean? Like imagine taking like a level 2 polk and like you're taking all this like in-depth stuff, and then I'm seeing people bang a drum and doing Zumba. And I'm just sitting here going, what the fuck is going on with our industry? And I've watched this for over a decade.
Yeah.
But then I had to change my perspective of this, going, you know what? I'm too complicated for that person. And in fact, they probably won't get to where they need to be because of the way I coach them. That's perfect for them. I've also looked at things now, like I look at a client's journey as like 6 different levels, right? And so when I'm working with a client, a level 1 client for me is like, we'll use this in music terms.
Sure.
Someone picking up a guitar for the first time, it needs to be coached differently than someone who's already a rock star trying to perfect their skills. Just because you're a coach, you need to specify what level of coaching you're coaching. And so when a client comes to me and they're just learning to play, that means they've never done this shit before in their life. I'm going to treat them like someone learning the guitar for the first time. Chord 1, chord 2, not here's a song for you.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes like as we keep moving up in like our abilities to coach people, we downplay the simple things that just get people to move. And I have such a respect now for anything that helps a level 1 person get off their ass and move and have fun doing it. I don't care if you're banging sticks and doing drums or doing yoga or making shit up and screaming like a lion and doing fucking animal flow. Like, what the fuck do I care? Like, you're not watching Netflix. I'm happy.
There it is. Yeah.
And if that allows you to explore what kind of passion you have in health and fitness, go fucking nuts. I don't care if you've never done an overhead squat assessment and your glutes don't fire. I fucking don't care. You know, but if what you chose starts to give you pain or it starts to not get you where you need to be, seek the help that you need. Because that's the other thing. Like, oh, I love CrossFit. Like, well, I love Olympic wrestling. I don't jump in and just start doing it. Right? You know, like
Nice.
I'm gonna get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
To me, that's a level 6. Like, that's a sport. Level 1s don't play, level 6s. You know, so if you move up the ranks, and I look at it like level 1 is learning to play. You know, level 2, you know, is like, you know, a garage band sort of thing. Yeah. And as you move up the levels, like you go from like learning to play, garage band, maybe a local pub, small venue, opening act, headlight. Each of those things have to be treated differently. So when your client comes in, well, what level are they at? Are they a learn to play or maybe a garage band? You know, are they small venue? If someone comes in their sports performance, okay, it's high level. And can you coach those people? Yeah. I think the sooner you know the level your client's at, the easier it is for you to make their perfect next step. And without knowing those things in their history, your program might not work for a lot of people. It might be a great program. It's just not their perfect step.
I think that's true too. And it's also on the trainer to understand that maybe you can't help that person, right? To me, there's nothing wrong with saying I can't and here's someone who can, which it depends on the abundance mindset and how the coaches feel. But a lot of people, I think, will just take the business just to take the business and then complain about the client that doesn't fit their program. And then we're back to square one again.
I'm so happy we're having this conversation, John. I'm going to screenshot you just so you know that I'm not bullshitting you. Someone reached out to me this morning looking for a consultation. Every time someone reaches out to me, there's a section in this thing. I just want to chat with you to see if I'm the best fit for you and if you're the best fit for me. If not, my network is deep and I will find someone to help you with your journey that's better than me. If we find out that we're the best fit, then we'll talk packages, prices, and everything else. But let's just have a conversation first to see if I'm the best. If you want to climb the mountain, I might not be the best mountain climber for you. Let's figure that out first.
Fair.
And I'm telling you, when you start that conversation that way, it sets the tone that I care about your journey, not what I have to offer you.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Right. And that's a huge, I think more people need to not be afraid of letting go of clients if you're not the best person to help them with the journey.
There's nothing wrong with that. And that's it's scarcity mindset versus abundance. And I do love that because I've had conversation with people where like, oh, I'm not sure. And I'm like, look, like, I'm not here to sell you or convince you of anything. That's not my job here. I want to see if I can help you. If I can help you, I need to know you if to know if I can help you. If you like me, if you like what I have to offer. Like, it's not the days of the box gym where like I was assigned people because I didn't do any sales on the floor. I had people who didn't talk to me during the session. They didn't care to be there. They got sold by someone else, bought thousands of dollars worth of sessions, and here we are, kind of just awkward for 30 minutes. That's not
like
what
forced
it's like.
marriages.
It was tough. Like, you had to like either have to put on a show, or you like to try to like get some sort of how was your day going, or past that point. It's very interesting. But yeah, it's not, I think that's where people get iffy sometimes with online coaching, is they're worried they're going to get scammed if they've been burned in the past, or they're worried it's a sales call. Like, I'm going to try to convince you and sway you to buy my, it's not, it's much more like human connection. And I have every initial call with someone through Zoom since the last year and a half, almost 2 years, just because I feel like we need that. I feel like it's I'd like to get to know the person. You know, you can get to know me a little bit more. I think my personality comes across through video pretty good. And I think it's helped business. I've helped connect with so many people that way, but it starts with what you're talking about, is the connection with other people. Like, we talked about that a few times.
And I think it's unrealistic to expect that people are going to get burned. People are going to be on a sales call, because we know the gym industry for 20 years. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But it's still got people results. And if you were to take 20 years and randomly just take anyone who's bought more than 20 sessions, or people who sat down with a consult, it's not going to be a bright picture, you know. But we laugh at that. Well, that scares me, and that concerns me. But it also makes you realize it hasn't changed. But through all that, we'll gem great people, and through all the mud itself, it's still going to get people to move. So we're always moving in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I just think it's unrealistic to think that we're not going to have those things with it.
Fair. Do you think the negative kind of stands out too? Or do you think we nitpick on it more than the positives?
I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because if you ask me, like, I just don't look at it a lot. Like my Instagram feed is probably different than yours and different than other people's, right? So what I see and what my reality is very different. Because over the last 2 years, like I literally now I open my Instagram, and if it's something that doesn't make me smile, it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And then I really, this is my television station. I don't care about the drama. I don't care about the commercials, and I don't care about a lot of people's opinions. So now it's survival stuff, hunting stuff, fun stuff, stupid random stuff, like things that interest me. It's all I treat like my magazine. So if I'm not getting magazine covers that I'm interested in, it's gone. Right. So a lot of the complaints and what people see, I'm like, I don't know.
You don't see it.
I don't want to look at it anymore.
Which is great. And that's one big thing I took away from you from our mentorship is you control your newsfeed. You control what you're seeing. I've muted so many people. My Facebook newsfeed on desktop actually doesn't show up anymore because there's a Google Chrome extension. So I'm like, I don't need to see status updates. I'm here to help people. I'm here to, run my business and stuff. But I think that's important because a lot of people feel like, and it depends on your situation, is social media is bad, social media is good. It is what you make it out to be. It's what you let it happen on your phone, on your device.
I will predict if most people are not using social media as much for business as they think they are, because if I were to calculate the time they're looking, how they're responding, and if I even ask them for their stats on for every post they get, how many interactions are they getting, how many DMs, they probably don't even have the stats on the business they're getting from social media. They're on it for the dopamine hits, to see what they like, look at the comments, and get intertwined with the social aspects of it, of course, which is what it's for.
Yeah.
But it's not a useful, if that's the case, then it's not a business tool. And I would look at what are your 5 or 3, 4, 5 primary ways of attracting business. How does this fit into it? And how can you use it to your advantage, not to your detriment? But most people, and as soon as you go away from it, like, I don't miss it. Most people, and if you want to use social media for business, you run your ads through it. You don't have to sit there and comment on every post that's coming in and feeling important again. And especially if it's draining. You know what I mean? Like if social media you love and you control it and you're using it to your advantage, that's great. But a lot of people complaining about it, or we'll just stop using it.
Turn it
off. About it, just don't use it. Or learn to use it to your advantage. It's a tool like everyone else's, and there are people making millions off of it. And people are suffering from it.
Very true point.
To use the tool.
Yeah. That's something I've always appreciated about through our mentorship and seeing you online, minus I guess the past year and a bit, is you're always learning. Like we talked about, you've been in the industry over 20 years, but you've never stuck to like one camp, one ideology. It's never been this one thing. It's just, no, I'm Joe and I'm here to learn and help people. And your learning is adapted throughout.
It has to. I mean, like for someone not to adopt that model, imagine the insanity, or where would I be today if I was still teaching the same stuff I learned when I was 20 years old?
You wouldn't be here.
It was the best stuff at the time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be here right now. The mountain's constantly moving forward and getting higher. Right. So you're just constantly evolving. The moment you don't want to grow, you're just stuck there. But eventually, like, and this is like, I would say my fear, what really keeps me going. If I'm not growing, time keeps going on. So eventually it keeps moving up and I'm going to stay in the same spot. So technically I'm moving down if I'm not growing.
Yeah, fair.
Right. Because imagine like only picking up another modality of fitness 20 years later and trying to catch up now.
Oh, it'd be impossible. Where would you even start?
But evolving through that process and constantly looking for ways. And I've learned this more in the last 2 years than the last 20 years. As a coach, I feel like I was chosen. Like my mission is just to coach people. Like I know that I can't get away from it. That's my mission. I can't coach people without experiences and without resources and without some kind of perspective on things. And so I look at everything. My growth is my ability now to learn things to help the people that I'm helping. And so sometimes it's a book that I feel called to read. I'm like, why the hell am I reading that? I read it, and then the next week my client has a problem, and I can help with it because my perspective that I read from the book. So I love just grasping new ideologies, new beliefs, new perspectives, growing and evolving in different areas. And it always comes back to being able to help clients at a bigger level.
Yeah.
And I think that every coach needs that curiosity to keep growing, as opposed to, okay, I learned it and now I'm good.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a big, and that's usually what happens with the weekend certification courses. Like, okay, I'm certified, I'm good now. Let's coach people. And it was like, there's a lot more to it than just knowing anatomy and biomechanics and what to do for bench. There's most people don't give a shit about bench press. I'll just put it out there. But yeah, I mean, over the last 2 years, like, what would you say? And it's probably a hard question, but like, what would you say is like the biggest? Well, I like throwing hard questions at you because you answer them so well.
Of course, yeah.
The biggest shift for you in terms of how you approach life, business, coaching.
Because the biggest shift for me was learning to drop my ego and learning to assess my emotions.
I'd love to hear more, especially about the emotions part. Yeah.
When you ask people how they feel most days, good, bad. To me, so do you believe in alignment?
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay. Most people don't really have a grasp of, like, I guess, alignment. Some people have different definitions of what alignment means. To me, everything we do is hitting a target, whether we act or don't act. It's hitting a target. If I sit and watch Netflix for an hour, I'm hitting targets of either boredom or depending on the emotion attached to it. Maybe I'm procrastinating. Maybe I'm just recovering and having a great time with some friends, but I'm hitting some kind of target. To me, the way I look at like hitting targets every day, or what I refer to as alignment, is when your thoughts, your words, words, and actions are in harmony and in alignment with your mission and your values. So I started to spend a lot more time on how I was speaking, how I was thinking, and how I was acting towards things. I'll give you an example. I got a really busy call day today. Well, what's the words and thoughts I'm looking at towards that call day? Busy. When things are busy, I get really tired. And I was tired after every call day. So when I thought about rewording that, taking my ego out of this and go, you know what? I love my call days. I get to do this, this, and this. I was never busy after a call day again. I start to reevaluate my missions in life, my values towards those things, and my thoughts, my words, and actions towards them. And I was shocked at how much of an asshole I was, how bad my thoughts were. My words didn't match my actions. My thoughts didn't match my words. And it's been a long time just like really assessing every single day how I want to feel each day and what I'm working towards. Changed a lot of my mission, changed our business model, changed everything. Started asking myself bigger and deeper questions. What really makes me happy, not as opposed to what am I chasing? What am I working towards? And then just readjusting every single day. Just like literally my calibration every day is my thoughts, my words, my actions. My thoughts, my words, my actions. I like archery. So like everything you do is throwing an arrow, and whether you think about it or not, it's hitting a target. Everything you do, if you're not doing something, you're going to hit a target. right? Other opportunities won't come to you because of how you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you're saying, the actions you're taking. So it's been honestly since COVID and we lost everything. I just sat there and started asking myself awesome questions, deeper questions, dropping my ego. Dove heavily into NLP the last 2 years, got certified in that, applied a lot of that, been using that a lot with clients and with myself, and just really realizing the things I'm not happy with, I got more control of than I think.
Nice.
And just really, I'm telling you, like for 24 hours, I want you to think about how you're thinking. So is it positive, is it negative? The words that you're using, the actions that you're taking in. The actions, are they towards your mission or away from your mission? And just do that for 24 hours and watch the things that start to change. When someone cuts you off and you swear at that person, that's your thoughts, words, and actions, not in a very positive way. And then where else is that leading you? So just at the end of the day, add them all up. Are they positive thoughts, positive words, positive actions, or negative thoughts, negative words, negative actions? And are they actually aiming towards your mission in life? And are they aligned with your values? It seems simple, but I'm telling you, like, it is mind-blowing the trajectory you start to go on when you catch yourself doing that.
That's intense. How do you record all that? It's intense, but in a good way. No, I love it. Yeah, you journal it just throughout the day.
So I journal every day. I got something that I call the 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. rule. So there's 3 things I do every night. There's 3 things I do every morning. So at the end of every night, I do I just do a wins, losses, and lessons. So just a quick, like, where are my wins, where are my losses, where are my lessons? This is my calibration time. I do a little plan and eliminate. So I plan for the next day, and I also eliminate minimum 1 task that I have to do from the next day. So it sets me up for winning my day already before I go to sleep. And before I go to sleep, I do a little reflection, I do some gratitude, I do some journaling, and I kind of like recap and just assess my entire day. When I wake up, same thing. I do mindset work. I do some gratitude, maybe 5 minutes, like gratitude, visualization. I get my first task done in the day, and then I do a little huddle.
Nice.
So, I kind of start and end my day like that. And then every week I do some journaling as well. I ask a lot of good questions. I look at, I call it balancing tea time.
Balancing tea time?
Tea time, TEA.
Okay.
Everyone's trying to, can I swear? You want if I swear?
Yeah, go for it. Hell yeah.
Everyone's trying to fucking hit goals and climb and do all this shit and just go. And over the last couple of years, I've really noticing that balancing tea is the most important thing. This is your time, your energy, and your attitude.
Love it.
And so I work a lot on just balancing that every day. So like a lot of the questions, even with all of our clients, it's energy management. So the mood that you're in, sort of the energy management being the energy you have, your sleep, your battery life. Your attitude management is the moods that you're in, and your time management. Because if you're hitting goals and you have no energy, no time, and you're miserable, who cares? So what I usually do first is set my tea, and then I do everything else. So I make sure I manage my time very well, schedule my time very well. And I feel, I don't like using this word because you can't control time, but to be more appreciative of time, have intention for my time, manage my energy very well, my sleep. Like I used to be like a 5 hours a night kind of guy, and sleep is for losers, grind it out, blah, blah. Now I'm just like, I optimize recovery. Nice. I really look to optimize recovery, and every moment of the day, I'm really assessing my attitude. There's a really cool app that Sarah and I used last year. We actually took 100 different emotions and put Post-it notes on our table. And throughout the day, we would point out which emotion we were feeling, and then ask yourself the question: how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel right now? What do I want to shift? We taught this to the kids as well, which is amazing. If I could say one thing, attitude management is one of the most impactful things people can learn to do.
Agreed.
Because if you're writing emails and you're happy, do you care about the time management component?
No.
Flow through it.
Yeah.
And so to me, when the attitude is there, the energy is increased, and usually the time management is self-correct. People who try to time management without worrying about their energy or their attitude, I just laugh, like you're in quicksand.
Yeah, it's not happening, no.
And not only that, but if you have the time, but you don't have the energy to do it, and you don't have the attitude to do it, who cares if you have the time?
Well, you'll probably end up procrastinating or wasting time or just dreading every minute of it.
Exactly. So
yeah.
that T model is something that I've really implemented a lot. And once you actually learn to do that, you get to the root of a lot of the problems. So why don't you have the energy all the time? Well, food, movement, sleep, blah, blah, blah. why don't you why are you miserable all the time? Then we can look at programming beliefs. Maybe you're just not on the right path. Like, it gives us a lot of clues when you're looking at, like, why are you miserable all day, or why do you have anxiety all day? Why are you nervous all day? Why are you angry 3 times a day at something that doesn't matter?
Yeah.
To me, that's important when working with someone on their business or their health or anything. So that team management is to me a big component.
Love that. I think that's incredible. Yeah. Because you hit a lot of points that I'm thinking about myself now, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely still am guilty of swearing at people in traffic. I call myself saying negative things to myself, and after I say it, I'm like, dude, like, why? Like you know what I mean? This is this reaction thing. I'm like, why am I talking about myself like that? But I think,
well, and it's a subconscious programming that's been there, and there's, like, we can root it back to where it stemmed from.
Yeah,
and that's why it's there. Sometimes it's there to protect you, and sometimes it's there to hold you back. Having the right conversations with that voice, and then knowing what to do with that voice to either eliminate it and cut that anchor is what I like working on with people. Because usually it's that voice that continues guiding you.
Sure. Yeah, the subconscious
gets you far enough, and it just takes you right at the ankles. You know what I mean? And everyone has them. Everyone has this.
I think self-awareness is tough though for most people, like, to be able to actually sit down. I think either they don't want to do it. That's exactly, it's scary, or they don't want to make the time to do it because, I'm too busy. You know what I mean? There's other things that kind of play a role.
What I've learned to realize in the last couple of years is that self-awareness is kind of like it's a self-honor, right? Like, so you're exposing yourself nakedly to the body. How many overweight people love to strip down and get measured?
Oh, none.
Well, that's the way I look at self-awareness. For someone who's really not their ideal self, to make them self-aware is basically saying, let me point out all the crap you have, all the fat here, there, and there. But that fat is emotional baggage, it's self-worth issues, it's all those things. And so when you start creating self-awareness, here's what the problem is. Now, number one, there is a mirror, and you don't like what you see because you've been able to put most of that stuff, only see the bright side of yourself, but now you're seeing the shadows of yourself. But not only that, but once you see the problem, now you have a responsibility to either deal with it or continue being aware of it. That's the issue. And so a lot of people, when they avoid it, it's because they know that once they see it, they can't unsee it. Their life is fine, just fine right now.
It's just fine.
If I see it and don't do anything, I'm now an asshole for not taking action on making myself better. And then if I do see all the things I want to work on, holy crap, I got quite the road to go to fix these problems. And that's what I've really, and man, working with so many people for so many years. And I figured this out last year because I did this to myself. Myself and my buddy Andy are putting together a few programs on some simple things that people can do. And one of them was a time audit. I think every human being should do a time audit.
Love a time audit.
Like, just literally grab a pad of paper, and as you go from task to task, just note the time. Like, hey, woke up at 6 o'clock. Went to the bathroom, showered, 6:15. Okay, went downstairs, made breakfast, 6:30, and just analyze your moves. So we've taught this before. I've done this so many times. And then last summer, me and my buddy Andy were creating a program around this and filming videos, and I was taking myself through a time audit. And it took me 5 days, dude. It took me 5 days to do the audit. I couldn't believe how many shadows I saw. I was like, holy fuck. Like, I didn't want to assume the responsibility to change my week. I liked my week the way it was. I didn't want to look for any holes. I didn't want to make any changes. And I knew I was slacking off in certain areas, but that slacking off was giving me fun. Right? And me, the teacher of this, is taking 5 days. Then I find out Andy went through the same thing. He's like, yeah, it took me 2 days. I'm like, really? Why? I'm like, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to change. I wasn't ready to change, and I didn't want to see the shadows. Because as soon as you audit, you're never commending the good stuff. You're just looking for every little error, like your least favorite English teacher looking for every grammar error in the essay you think is awesome. That's what it feels like when someone starts auditing you. And so what I've actually done is I've actually changed the system. So instead of auditing first, I give them things they can change to make themselves feel good first. Then we slowly bring in the audit and the self-awareness. Because now I'm leading with a positive and seeing that they are capable of making some shifts very easily.
Yeah,
it's not that hard. And now they're excited to find out what other things they can change.
Nice.
And now I go, the only way we can figure that out is by assessing this even deeper. Are you ready for that now? Right. So now we put them in a positive state, and they're looking for clues. And now I've shown them, and we can look at take these clues and make something good out of it. We've just made these small shifts, and look what's happened. What if we did this? A good example is before you give a client a food log, tell them how shitty they're eating. Just say, look, like honest, that's what we do, right? Like a client comes in and we just rip it, like we just tear a strip out of them. Here's why we politely say, here's why you're fat and here's why you can't do it. Your movement sucks, you don't know how to train, you don't know how to eat, you don't know how to do this, blah, 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 blah. And let me make you audit this and let me weigh you and measure you and stand half naked and give me pictures. Do you know the feeling someone goes through? And this is the first thing you do with them in the first a week. We know what half their problems are. Get to know them more. Ask some questions. Like even the simple questions. Say, let's say, John, you were a client. John, what's one or two simple things that we can work on this week that are minimum changes that you can do? And I can, maybe change some water, just work on breakfast, change a few things, but get them excited to change first.
Yeah.
I usually start with like water and chewing. Like eat the same food you're doing now, but chew it 30 times before every meal. I bet you like no one can do that. So they can't even prime digestion anyways. I give them a simple breathing challenge. Do a 4-4-4 breathing before every meal just to make sure your parasympathetic nervous system is turned on. If you're eating under stress, you can't digest. So who cares what you're eating? Right? So without you even, I'm like, George, John, Ted, continue eating Big Macs and pancakes. I don't give a shit, but breathe beforehand and chew it 30 times just to do you have enough respect for your digestive tract just to do that for me? If they can't do that, who cares about the food planning and logging everything, right? So get them to do simple things that have a simple impact. Separate water from meals, have water first thing in the morning, simple things they can do. Like, hey, oh my God, that felt really good. I had the same food, but I wasn't as bloated. I'm like, hey, let's find out other foods that make you bloated now. Let's log a few things down.
Nice.
Right? That's a very different approach than like, hey, I have no energy, I'm fat, I'm overweight, I feel shitty about myself. Cool. Audit some more, take some pictures and give me your food. And they're like, I know this. Like, I know.
Yeah.
So like to me, that's been a big change is like the sequence of auditing. Like get people to win first and feel like increase from a frequency. I don't know if you're familiar with the emotional frequency scale, like apathy, grief compared to pride and joy. They're very different frequencies.
Yeah.
When people feel ashamed of themselves, they are in a very low vibrational frequency. You get someone to feel very proud of themselves very quickly. That's what a true coach does. If a kid can't play hockey, don't give them skills they can't do to make them feel stupid. If they can only stick handle, just get them doing stick handling drills and get them to progress. It's all you need to do with the client, same thing. So get them to win first and increase their like, hey, high five. Like every week, what were your wins? What were your wins? What were your wins? And that's why I like journaling every night, my wins, losses, and lessons. And just get them to feel good about themselves and then start diving more into like, here's how we solve the next problem. Let's do some audit.
I love it. Journaling is something I've definitely taken more of a priority in life, especially the last little while. Just because sometimes I can't even verbalize what I'm feeling, or I don't want to verbalize it, so I'll write it down. But I've talked to a few clients that have gone through similar struggles, and I'm like, I think this is one way just to, sometimes you just need to let it out. And I think journaling, writing things down, keeping it to yourself if you have to is one of the best things you can do. I'd love to go back to something that you talked about earlier, if you don't mind. Yeah. Is the huddle. You talked about a huddle. You guys do it like a morning family huddle?
Actually, let me talk about journaling first and we'll tie into the huddle.
Go for it. I love it. Let's go.
I personally believe that to me, life is just a game. And I'm an avatar playing this game. I want to play this game as well as I can. If you were to play a high level sport, would there be game film to review at the end of that game?
Yeah.
Would the coach, if you played good, acknowledge it after the game? If you play like shit, throw a water ball, throw a table.
Pretty much.
There's some auditing that happens there. If you don't journal, you're not auditing. You're playing every game as if it doesn't matter. No one watches. There's no footage, and you're not reviewing.
So it becomes Groundhog Day.
And then people, that's exactly it. And then you just basically run off your programming. There's no analysis for your brain to say, I want to shift, or I want to calibrate, or I want to go in a different direction. You just wake up doing the same shit every single day, complaining about your problems. So to me, the journaling is, if you want to play at the high levels, review game film. Like record some game film and review your game film and ask yourself some simple questions. Where did I win? Where did I lose? What were my lessons? The lessons become your practice now. Now this goes into the huddle. So every morning I ask myself a few questions, and like they change every day, and I don't want to like confine the questions. But generally speaking, it's like, what's important today? Am I ready for today? Do I need to make any changes? It's like the football play. Everyone's lined up. Do I have to call an audible, or are we ready to go with the plays that we're running today? Most people are just running to the line, just running routes that no one's calling and just hoping they catch a football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's chaos. So, but because I planned the night before, I know the night before what my day's like. Like, for example, last night, I have no movements this morning. My lights are set up. My laptop is set up. Everything that I need, down to my coffee mug with the spoon inside of it and the coffee ready to go. I just push play. I wake up. I have no, to me, they're like stumbles or hurdles throughout my day. I want to make sure. Do you like marathon running? I don't.
I don't like it, but I know what it is.
To me, when I go through my day, I'm running a marathon. You know, it's that 16-hour marathon, and I'm running through it. I want to make sure that there's someone along my day handing me that cup of water that I can grab, take my drink, and keep running. So I plan my day as much as possible to have as many of those set up. Things are ready for me. I don't have to go looking for stuff. Everything's set up. My meals are prepped, that kind of stuff. Most people's days are like running a marathon and then having to go to the convenience store to get some water, pay for it, you forgot your wallet, you're stumbling, and you're wondering why it's taking you so goddamn long to run the race. Like, you're just not prepared for your day properly, or life's just tackling you because you didn't ask a few questions. So I love that huddle. Sarah and I huddle every day and every night. Every morning, the question is, what do you need from me? I ask her, what do you need from me? She asks me what I need from her, and then we overview what's your day like? Do you have call days today? You know, business is simple. You're only doing one of three things in business. You're attracting, you're selling, or you're delivering and nurturing. Like, it's not complicated.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's a call day and we're nurturing, cool. You know, and tomorrow we have a meeting and a huddle about, you know, some things that we're launching next week. We'll focus on our attract methods, and we just communicate. You know, communicate, ask some good questions, and allow the opportunity for them to say to me, like, what do you need from me? Hey, Joe, I need this from you. Or, hey, I'm a little tired today. Can you get this ready? Or, you know, that kind of communication.
Your kids in the huddle too, or is it just you and Sarah?
No, the kids as well. When we have, so we have 1 week on, 1 week off.
Okay.
And even when we have them in the morning time, like, breakfast is always like, what are you guys looking forward to today? Cool. You know, what do you have today? Do you have tests today? You have this? And I mean, they're teenagers now, so it's usually like nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember those days.
But as a coach, it really helps you prep your questioning skills. Like, what are you looking forward to today?
Yeah.
Forces them to answer the question, right? And sometimes it's just like coming home. I'm like, cool. Well, what part of coming home are you looking forward to?
Nice. Yeah.
You know, or like, what do you guys want to do tonight, or things like that. But just the opportunity to talk, man. It's like, you're the quarterback of life. Like, talk to the people like on the line. Make sure everyone knows where they're going, what they're doing, and it's the best play right now.
I love it. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I huddle every time my emotion changes. Like,
really?
like moment to moment. I'm huddling. Like, once this call, like, the only thing important for me right now is this call and how I want to feel doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And then I had a coaching call right before that. That was different. And then as soon as I'm done this, I've got 2 hours time off. And you know, how do I want to feel during those 2 hours? What do I want to do with those 2 hours? Do I want to invest them in some work stuff? Do I want to play a little bit, relax? Do I want to go for a walk? So I'm constantly just huddling, going, like, do I turn left, turn right, or go straight? Turn left, turn right, go straight.
What target am I hitting?
And then it comes down to thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's awesome.
So that's self-awareness too. Self-awareness is how often you huddle in a day. If you huddle once a month, you're just not a very aware person. You're programmed. Yeah. And if you're asking yourself 20, 50, 100 times a day, like, how do I want to feel? What do I want to do? How do I want to show up? Like, that's self-awareness.
I got to huddle more. What you're saying, I definitely got to huddle more. I love it. I got a hard stop in about 5 minutes or so. So, I mean, now's the time to, I mean, we talked about off air, there's nothing to plug. There's no online to plug for you right now.
I mean, you can follow me on social media if you want, but I mean, like, whatever. It's just like, I just don't like the arena that much. I don't play in it very often, but I love connecting with people. So if you follow me on social media and you DM me, I guarantee you within that day, I'll respond back and we'll have a cool conversation.
100%.
So Joe_Arco. I like connecting with people. I just don't like the shit game that a lot of people play on the social media field. So I'm not anti-social media. I just like playing the game and connecting with the right people, like-minded people, and you know, sharing stories with them. So Joe_Arco is where to find me on the Instagram.
On Instagram, yeah. I'll tag that in the show notes. And then lastly is the Golden Nugget, and you told me you came prepared with this one for the audience.
I've been using this line for forever, and Jim Rohn is a huge mentor of mine and just an amazing personal development coach. And he's got this line I've added to it. So my golden nugget and something that I really live by is that life is not the passing of time. Life is a collection of experiences, their frequency, and their intensity. So fill it with things that matter and become someone that cares. That's my golden nugget.
Beautiful. I love that. that wraps it up too. That's amazing. Thank you, Joe, for taking the time, man. I really appreciate the chat, as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me out and for amazing questions today.
All right, man. Everyone listening, thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode.